Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Fintech Hunting podcast. We have a very special guest for you today. He's an industry thought leader, a tech innovator, an expert at goal planning and management. Please help me welcome Adal Bisharat, founder and CEO of GoalKloud. Adal, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's great to be here, Michael. It's a pleasure. I watch your show all the time, and it's a pleasure to be on.
Well, thank you so much. It is great to have you. I have a flood of questions to get through, but before we do, give everyone a little bit of background. How did you kind of get into doing this? How did you get into financial services? Yeah. Share with our audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've been in the mortgage industry pretty much for my entire career. I started in 1995 working for Countrywide, doing mergers and acquisitions with Angelo Mazzillo and Stan Kurland, and it was a great experience. We didn't do much merging and acquisitioning. We grew organically. But what I started to do is get into strategic planning, sales planning, helping managers and leaders, divisional leaders, plan out for their division, budgeting. And that's kind of how I got interested in the whole goal planning and sales planning piece of it. I spent, I stayed there till 2008 until kind of everything went down. I helped start PennyMac back in 2008, 2009, and then moved on to Guaranteed Rate, where I was EVP Performance Management. Again, my whole thing is that I use technology and analytics to really help managers and loan officers achieve. That's my whole thing for the past, 25 some odd years.
Awesome. I love it. And it's great to have you here. So before we dive into GoalKloud and really how you manage and how you really get peak performance out of those loan officers, let's talk a little bit about the market. What are some of the biggest challenges and what are some of the biggest opportunities you see in today's crazy mortgage market?
Yeah, when you've been in it as long as I have, and I think a lot of the seasoned guys that have been in it, you've been through this so many times, right? It's ups and downs. You ride the highs of the refi boom, and then it suddenly goes away, and everybody goes into panicking. Everything consolidates, everything shrinks, and then the market kind of steadies back out again. And that's what I would tell everybody. It's happened before. We're going to get out of it, whether it's 6 months or a year, whatever it is, we're going to get out of it. And it'll get better. The thing I would tell everybody, and it's something that I heard over the last couple of weeks or so, is that this is a unique environment, right? It is a very unique environment, and where there is uniqueness, where there's a little bit of chaos, there's opportunities, right? There's opportunities in the marketplace, and the smart loan officers are out there, saying things like, "Hey, you marry the house and you date the rate," right? So you buy the house that you want and you get the rate that you want, but you can refi into a lower rate in 6 months, a year, whatever it is. It's a good opportunity to buy a house. Again, there's a lot of products out there, buy downs, ARM products, shorter term products. Again, smart loan officers and loan officers that have been in the industry for a while should see this as an opportunity to capture share. And the same thing with companies, mortgage companies. I mean, this is a lot of mid-sized companies are going to be hurting, and this is a good opportunity for larger companies to really consolidate, or smarter companies, I should say, to consolidate, become bigger, grow market share, and for smaller companies to really kind of sort of focus on niches where they can focus in and grow their share in those niches. So this is definitely it's a tough environment, but it's definitely an environment where smart companies can really grow and make a big impact in the marketplace.
Adal, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's time to lean in. And I love how you talked about it on the two levels. The loan officers can lean in. They can get more strategic. They can really focus on how do I develop those realtor relationships? How do I provide more value to my potential borrowers? But just as important, companies, what can they do? How can they streamline their tech stack? Where are the efficiencies that they can gain now? Exactly. So when we get another refi boom, when the market shifts, it's not always, and Jonathan Corey used to say this, the former CEO of Encompass and Ellie Mae, we have a propensity to use human spackle, right? Huge volumes, we don't have capacity, so let's throw a bunch of bodies at it.
Exactly.
Things have slowed up, they've gotten a little tougher, now we've got to shed a lot of that.
Right.
If we can start leveraging technology, if we can start planning better, we don't always have to have those big, huge swings in people resources. So that's what I want to get into. People resources, goal management. Tell me about what is GoalKloud? I've done my research, I've looked, but for our listeners who have never heard of it, talk to me a little bit about what is GoalKloud, and as a loan officer, as a mortgage company, why should I be so interested?
Yeah, the simplest way to put it is that if you look at most loan officers today or in the past, when they fill out their sort of their plan, annual plans, quarter plans, whatever it is, they do it in Excel spreadsheets, and that's what I found throughout my career. When I go out and talk to people, I talk to coaches and managers, and they're getting their loan officers to fill in their goals. They're doing it in Excel spreadsheets. They take the Excel spreadsheets, try to compile them, try to manage through them, and to me, that didn't work for me. I wanted a better solution, and with technology becoming as fluid, as integrated as it has become, I thought there's an opportunity to really kind of break through in the marketplace and create an application that's like a Fitbit almost, where loan officers can put in their goals. We can track through the LOS, right, loan origination system, track their progress, see how well they're doing. They can compete against other loan officers to kind of encourage some, to boost performance. And for the manager, and the coach, it's really important because you get to see all of your loan officers in one place, see how well they're doing, see who's falling behind, who's ahead, who needs a plan, who needs support, and who needs encouragement, right? Because that's what I did for most of my career, and I did it in Excel spreadsheets. But it just didn't work, and an online solution is a much better solution.
Well, and I think there's a couple things that are very important from what you've said. It is not just a tracking tool, it is a performance enhancing tool.
Exactly.
And I think right now, as market conditions get a little tough, you're either going to find companies that are leaning in, forward thinking, saying, hey, how do we improve performance? How do we retain top talent? How do we create greater transparency? And then there's some that panic. We got to cut costs at every measure, and they don't do as much training. They don't lean into performance. So talk to me about some of the key advantages and some of the things that really highlight GoalKloud from an Excel spreadsheet, some of the other things that LOs are doing, so that people can get a sense of where that performance enhancing functionality really lies.
Well, again, I was at a conference this past weekend, and somebody said that documenting from BrainCode, two ladies from a company called BrainCode, said that documenting your goals will increase your probability of achieving them by 42%, right? Today, in a refi environment, goals didn't really matter. It's basically order taking, right? It didn't really matter. But today's environment, if you're a leader in the mortgage space, you need to know where your company's going. You need to know where your company's headed. So you need to make sure that all of your loan officers have goals down, so you understand, hey, am I going to achieve my corporate goal? Am I going to achieve my branch goal, right? And from a loan officer perspective, it's time to kind of power down and begin to really start, you need to start blocking and tackling, as they say, right? So you need to set goals for yourself. You need to understand the things that you have to do on a daily basis to get there. And you need to be, we talk a lot about accountability. We talk a lot about transparency. That doesn't happen with Excel spreadsheets. It doesn't happen with Word documents. With this tool, it's like a Fitbit where everybody can see results. You can see where you're at. You can get support from your managers. You can get support from your peers. Again, the whole idea is to get you to a point where you have a goal that you're accountable to, that your managers can see, and they can support you in achieving, right? So that's a whole performance achievement piece of it.
Perfect. And I think to take it one step further, it also then allows management, whether it's a branch manager, whether it's executives, to also be able to coach and mentor better because they have that visibility. Go into a little bit of detail from that aspect.
Yeah, I tell you, one of the things that when I was at Countrywide, we did all kinds of studies, right, on sales management, performance enhancing tools, and who were the great loan officers, who were the great managers. And the one thing that I found is really the probability of a successful loan officer, right, is much greater when you have a manager that's a coach versus than a manager that's just focused on producing, right? The biggest weakness to me in the mortgage industry, I shouldn't say weakness, but the toughest job in the mortgage industry is a branch manager, because you have to produce, you have to spend all your time and to produce, to make your money, but then you have to manage 10, 12, 14, 15 people. It's a very, very tough thing to do. So what I want to do is that, and it's hard to do it in Excel spreadsheets and Word documents and all that stuff. So what I wanted to do for them is that sort of give them one place, one portal where they can manage everyone simply, easily. We push a lot of data out to our branch managers and leaders, regional CEOs. We let them know how well their loan officers are doing. We'll let them know who's falling behind. So a lot of it is just not, they don't have to spend a lot of time really looking at data and going into Encompass and seeing how many loans this guy did, how many loans this guy, and how many credit pulls, and how many applications. All that data gets pushed to them in a very, very simple format. So they don't have to spend much time. They can see everything they need to see in one place. They can assign action items. So if somebody needs support, they can assign action items through the portal. They can take notes. We have a strategy board where loan officers can actually fill in their strategy, and managers can help them coach. It can help coach their loan officers into a better strategy. We have vision boards. So we have a lot of things in there that really allow a manager to be a coach.
Fantastic. Well, Adal, one thing I know that all of our listeners always ask me about, and as I go out throughout the industry, they say, hey, isn't that a really cool technology tool, but is anyone using it? Tell me about some of your clients. Tell me about some ways that you've actually implemented and executed on this that's producing results.
Yeah, it's a very good point. One of the biggest challenges when this is a new technology, right? It's a new technology out there. And the toughest job I have in a sales environment is a lot of people still use Word documents, like paper forms. And when I tell them, hey, I've got this great technology tool for you, they're like, I'm comfortable with my paper forms, And I'm like, to me, it's like, I understand, but I don't understand at the same time. But that's the way it is sometimes. Our biggest client right now is Fairway Ignite. And they're a coaching firm that coaches Fairway loan officers. And they do an incredible job with their loan officers and how they coach them. And they took on the platform to coach their loan officers. Again, they used to do Excel spreadsheets and all that stuff. And it's been a powerful tool to them. Not only has it made the loan officers more excited about coaching because they get their data on the app and they see their progress and their goals and how well they're doing. But at the same time, for the coaches, it allows them to, it allows them to really coach on a much higher level, because now they can see the data, they can assign action items, they can compare groups of people, they can put groups of certain performers together on the scoreboard. So it really allows the coaches to become sort of a coach at a higher level. So from both a loan officer perspective and a coach perspective, it's been a big win, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing for them.
Well, and I love how you talk about it. It allows you to coach better, right? Yeah. Because so many times we have a certain perception. Oh, hey, that person's a go-getter. That person's kind of middle of the road. Right. Oh, it's because that person gets more leads, or it's because this person. Now you kind of put all of the BS aside, all of those opinions and everything, and you just look at the data and say, hey, to be honest with you, these two loan officers got the exact same amount of loan or leads. These two loan officers, here's the key difference. The one is that the top performer, they take that lead and they convert 3 times more than the other person. Now you can start coaching about what are you saying or not saying in that fact pattern. I think that's what's critical. As I do a lot of coaching across the mortgage space, I think tools that can allow greater visibility and simplicity to that. We can keep going for a while. I've got a couple quick questions as we're already winding down, Adal, but
sure.
Tell me about configuration, setup. How easy is it to get a tool like this set up? Does it fit into most tech stacks? How long does it take for, branch managers and loan officers to really get accustomed to this? Because user adoption is a huge issue in our industry. A lot of people invest in technology, and then they don't really do a great job of rolling out and getting it adopted.
And I completely understand that. Again, I've worked at Countrywide and Guaranteed Rate and other big companies, and I've been on the other end where companies come in and they're going to roll something out. And if it's complicated, if it's time-consuming, costly, it's very hard to implement. And I appreciate that. What I want to do is that when I go into a company, I tell them I'll set up the whole thing at literally. I mean, there's a small fee that we waive most of the time with like a 1-year contract, but the implementation's all on us. We integrate with any LOS or database, and it's very simple to do. We create company-based templates. So it's not just like one standard template that we throw at everybody. If you want certain metrics that you want to track, we'll track those for you. And it takes us about 2 to 3 weeks to roll out the templates, the apps out to everybody. And the user adoption, it's really very simple to use. And I understand it's always difficult to roll out something new to people, but it's a very, very basic template where it looks like an Excel spreadsheet because everybody's familiar with Excel spreadsheets.
Yep.
And each loan officer basically fills out maybe 9 to 13 fields, and they're done. Basically, they go in, enter their annual plan, break it out into 4 quarterly sprints, and they're done, and they're good to go. So we take the responsibility of implementation. We don't want to take a lot of resources from the company. We take the technology, the implementation. Very easy to integrate. We've done it a bunch of times. And it's very easy to use from a loan officer and a manager perspective. And we help train, we have videos, and we'll do whatever we need to do to make sure that it gets implemented properly.
Adal, where do you think things are going with the market? What do you think's in store for the mortgage industry in 2023?
You know what? We've been through this so many times, and it's like, I'm at a point where, back in the day, we used to say, hey, it doesn't matter what the market does. Whatever it does, it does. I think it's still a huge market. Back in the day, when I was in 1995, we used to look at the market, and it was like 1.2 trillion. That was sort of the market size. It's sort of $1 trillion in purchase market and 200 million in refi. Today, I think the expected market size this year is supposed to be like 2 trillion, 2.2 trillion or something like that. I don't know if it's contracted or there are different numbers like that, but it's still a great market. A lot of great opportunities out there. I think it's going to contract. Obviously, I think the housing market's going to cool down a little bit, maybe a lot. But I don't think it's going to be like 2008 or anything like that. I think there's a lot of equity in the marketplace. I think the products are the people who buy homes are more likely to stay in them, and I think it'll still be a great market for smart loan officers and smart companies. And I'm excited to be a part of those companies.
Absolutely. Well, Adal, you have been a wealth of information. The last thing I want to end with is if people want to find out more about you, if they want to find out more about this solution, what's the easiest way that they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I just go to GoalKloud.com, GoalKloud. And you can contact me at Adal at GoalKloud.com. I'm happy to answer any questions. I love interacting. I love to give demos, to get feedback and show people the technology. So anytime they want to contact me, and I'll be more than happy to answer.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on this episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.